Before the Echo is brought to you by X's Outdoor Gear, ASIO Gear, and Stealth Outdoors. What's up, brother?
Hello, hello.
Have you seen that sketch guy on Facebook or YouTube yet?
He's everywhere. I was riding in the car the other day, and he showed up on my TikTok and asked Titus. I said, "Titus, who is this guy?" He goes, "Oh, Sketch, man. He's everywhere now."
You know? I know. That's the only reason I said
me
that.
and you had just talked about it because you asked me, you're like, "Have you seen this Sketch guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, he just started showing up on my TikTok and Facebook or Instagram the other day." And you're like, "Man, he's everywhere now."
Yeah. I think he got on mine because I listened to this past weekend with Theo Vaughn. He was on there.
What's the story?
He's like a gamer, I think, that got real, like a streamer, like a Madden streamer or something. I think.
Yeah.
Seems like if you listen to him on, he's kind of weird, kind of has like some quirks and stuff.
Yeah.
But he just got real popular on that streaming stuff, and now he's all over the internet. But he, if you listen to, so Theo Vaughn, he's a comedian. He's like, we're huge fans of his. We went to a few of his shows and stuff.
Yeah.
But, they did like the whole comedy thing and talked for a long time. But he finally, like, just out of nowhere, that kid Sketch, I think he's a kid. He's not very old, but
yeah,
he goes, yeah, man, just about like a year ago, he goes, I just prayed to God. He goes, I just want to be happy. I want to travel the world, and I want to, whatever, just make a bunch of friends. And he's like, yeah, and just like at that next day, like my life started to change. And he said, I just put it out to God what I wanted, and that it started to happen. So
wow,
yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and it was kind of weird to hear him say that because like what he's doing is, I mean, like gaming and
living in an alternate universe.
Yeah. Fitting for this podcast tonight though.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a funny kid. He seems like
I'm gonna have to watch his stuff.
Well, I don't think you'll find it that entertaining. It's
Man, I ain't that old, dude.
No, I mean it's just
I find dumb stuff entertaining all the time.
I think he's just
Ask
goofy.
my wife.
I think he's just goofy and says some funny things is what made him popular. No, and he's just a goofy guy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I got my rock and roll neighbor out here. Can you hear his music in the background? I was just wondering. I had to mute the thing when the thing came up.
No, I can't hear it.
Okay, good. Yeah, man, he's jamming every night in the summertime, man.
Oh, nice.
He's across the pond from me.
Oh, across the pond. Okay.
Yeah.
Is he playing, or is he just playing rock like on the radio?
No, he just plays all these old songs every night. Man, you hear anything, man. You might hear, I don't know, man, Run DMC to like 80s Duran.
Really?
It's everything, man. I mean, nothing new though, so he got a little bit of taste.
Yeah.
None of the new music like that.
Dude, all I listen to now is I listen to like that alternative, not alternative country, but like backyard country or whatever you want to call it. But
yeah,
Buck loves like metal music. It's the only thing he cares to listen to.
That's right, man. Metal or no, it's this, right?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
he likes Scam.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. We were driving camping the other day, and we had like an hour drive, and he's like, Dad, I want to listen to, he kept saying, what was he saying? He was saying, it's like the frogs, or Barney hit the frogs. I'm like,
oh, he was talking about let the bodies hit the floor.
Yeah, but he was like, Barney hit the frogs. I'm like, what are you talking about, son? And we finally, like, I went through a metal playlist, and I found it. I clicked on it. And I'm like, is it this one? And it was let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. And he was saying, let the Barneys hit the frogs.
Let the Barneys hit the frogs. Brandy, excuse me, Brandy's sitting over there and she's laughing at that.
Yeah, but it was probably a 20-minute ordeal of us like flipping through
everything.
Spotify metal playlist trying to figure out what song he was talking about.
Yeah, that's funny.
But
Yeah, these kids, they don't listen to any of this new stuff, man. They listen to all that older
Yeah.
pre-2000s. A lot of them listen to like the 90s stuff that I grew up on. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, I was talking to my wife because she loves music. And it's like all the talent died at like 2000.
It
I
seems
don't,
like it, doesn't it?
yeah, all your really good movies, they just remake them, all your action stars are still the same ones today that were when I was growing up, so it's just like,
Yeah, there are. It is kind of weird. Well, I think that's I mean, that industry's dead anyway. Like that, the
mhm.
movie industry and stuff. It seems like um, people don't watch them anymore. I mean, the movie theaters are all, like around us. They've all closed down for the most part. I mean,
Yeah,
we got to drive 45 minutes to go to the nearest movie theater now.
yeah,
And when I was a kid, like that was a cool thing to do.
yeah, yeah. You spend the weekends in the movie theater and dates in the movie theater and all that stuff, and now it's Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper, hopefully.
Yeah, we used to. I mean, we had a theater in the little college town I lived in. Me and Maddie could go, like it was like $5 a ticket to go there and watch a movie.
Yeah,
We took Huck to that. We went up to Columbus, Indiana, as the nearest theater. And we took him, and I mean, those prices have like tripled.
oh yeah. Well, probably for y'all, it was probably like $50 after
Yeah,
candy and drinks and
yeah.
everything
Huck
else.
wanted popcorn. He don't like candy and that stuff. He likes popcorn.
Yeah, I always ate popcorn too. I wasn't
He's
a
a
big candy.
salty guy.
Yeah, yeah. I like the salty popcorn, butter popcorn.
They're talking about NASCAR in the chat. Did you ever watch NASCAR?
To get to the chat, I don't. I've never watched it until I have a really good friend of mine. He was my training officer when I was in the police department, and we became good friends because he likes to hunt. We like a lot of the same things, right? So he's in a NASCAR, and I never watched it. I was like, man, it's so dumb. I mean, I like the old greats, that were back in the heyday. I don't know who any of these new guys are. But anyway, he got me into it, and it's actually not – it's pretty fun to watch, even though they're going around in a circle and it's monotonous.
Yeah.
It's kind of gets you a little fired up, It's pretty cool, but I don't follow it,
Yeah, my dad was. I mean, when I was a kid, my dad was extremely into it. Like it was his sport to watch. He watched all kinds of sports back then, but yeah, it seemed like Dale Earnhardt died, and then like all those. Like my dad was a big Jeff Gordon fan. He retired, and I don't know anybody watching NASCAR anymore.
No, it's gotten woke like everything else has. And
Is it?
It's to a little bit. I don't think it's pushed away fans enough yet, but it's coming. Wherever that money comes from, they got to do what they say, and it seems like it's all bad. So
that's true.
I only follow. I follow, of course, hunting, and that's basically all I watch is hunting stuff. Other than like movies, like me and Brandy watch, and then I'll always follow bodybuilding because that's like a one you versus you thing, and you just give it your best, and wherever the chips lay on the last day, and there's no favoritism. I mean, there's a little favoritism in it, but I mean, you can't really usually argue with when the guy wins. You're like, okay, yeah, he deserved that one.
Yeah, that's a unique sport that not very many people are into.
Yeah, I've been into it since I was 16, 17, watching bodybuilding.
How deep into it did you get? Like, when was your peak of it?
Man, I still watch. I was just watching a podcast on it the other day, just a minute ago before I got on here. Man, I keep up with it religiously during the year. Who's on top and who wins the shows, and I try to watch it's not televised. The only ones that are televised is like the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic, and the Olympia, which is the big two. Just about everybody knows what the Olympia is, and so those are the two that I usually live stream the Olympia. Arnold Classic, I just kind of watch some guys talk about it while they live stream it and see the end results is usually what I do.
Yeah.
Prejudging and then the finals. I usually watch that stuff.
What about what made you get into it? Because you were into it, right? You were actually like,
I competed and everything. Man, I lived it for years. Man, I just think it was a good outlet for me from the way I grew up, kind of having a kind of rougher childhood, it was an outlet for me. I was picked on a lot, like most bodybuilders would say when I was little. I mean, I was little, like when I was 18, I was like, my height now, I'm 5'9.5", 5'10" with shoes. Yeah, just small, like 155 pounds. And my boss I was like, man, I want to feel better. I think I'm going to run. And he's a big mentor in my life. And I asked him, I said, what do you think about that? He goes, man, you need to pump iron. And he was weightlifting at the time. And so I like listened to him. I was like, all right, because I looked up to him a lot. He was the owner of the hunting and fishing store that I worked at. I worked there from 15, and I started bodybuilding at 18, and I worked there till I was like 21. Anyway, I started training, and I gained really fast. I'm a real hyper responder to weightlifting. So it was just kind of natural with me, and I just kept into it and just kept on building until I started competing, and then kind of fell out of it in my 30s and got back into deer hunting because I didn't deer hunt a whole lot when I was, training and everything. I would deer hunt a little bit, but I wasn't like I wish I'd have deer hunted more back then than I did, because I probably have quite a few big deer on my wall if I'd have started earlier. But yeah, it was fun. I had a good time, doing that, and then I kind of started deer hunting, and I was like, all right, this is what I love.
Is it hard on you? Because you see like these guys like Ronnie Coleman and some of them, they're kind of broken down now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you feel it at all now? Or
yeah.
Oh, really?
Joints hurt, knees hurt, back hurts, shoulders hurt. But getting on that carnivore diet, like I talk about, really helped with all that pain. And I tell you what's crazy, and you and I were talking about this is the third time you're going to hear it today.
Yeah, I just told me this 3 times today now.
Yeah, I told you this morning when I woke up when I was half awake.
All them carbs got your mind all messed up.
Man, they got me all messed up. And then I told him this when I got home, and we were talking about the show tonight, and just talked to him on the way to go get some stuff. And then I'll tell you now, so the viewers can hear it. But man, I ate like crap this weekend. Like I had Mexican on Friday, and then I had a burger. I was pretty decent on Saturday, and then Sunday I had like this burger with the bread and the fries, and then just garbage, man. And Brandy went and got this awesome strawberry cake. Like, can't just get a slice. Like, she got a cake, and probably ate half that thing last night. I woke up this morning, and I'm telling you, my joints hurt so bad, and I felt horrible. It took until this afternoon for me to get to feeling like somewhat decent. So it's crazy.
Every time I talk to Patrick, he was on his back porch in a recliner like this.
I had my arm up like
man,
this.
I ate cake this weekend.
Yeah. I was like, I ate too much cake, man. It was good, but God got me. So anyway, I'm back on track today. And
how much have you lost now? How much weight have you lost?
33 pounds is what I was down to. But after eating that stuff, so I was 227 on Saturday, and yesterday evening I was 235. So that shows you what all the sugar and the carbohydrates do with making you retain all that water and inflammation.
Isn't that frustrating?
It blew me up like 8 pounds. So I'm back down to about 231 this afternoon. So I'm like, it'll come right back down. It's just water weight, but God.
Isn't that frustrating how a weekend just ruins everything?
Yeah. I've got to settle down. I'm got slow down. I gotta get back on track.
Yeah. I don't know. How big were you when you were like at your peak of bodybuilding? Like, how much did you weigh then?
I'd say the best shape that I was probably 225 at probably about 8% body fat. Probably was the best. When I competed, I was 205 at like 6.8. The couple of times I competed, but like I never got to be at my best because I like to eat and I like to lift. So I quickly found out that the whole training and dieting down was not something I really enjoyed. And I got back into my hunting. I got into Cheney, my hunting club, the next year or that year after I competed. And I started hunting, and there's just not room for doing both. And I love being in the outdoors and stuff much more than I do at gym. So I just kind of faded away from it.
That's what I was. I mean, I was the same way. My, late teens, early 20s, all I thought about was working out.
Yeah.
I don't know though. I was more, I don't know what I didn't really follow bodybuilding. I watched a lot of wrestling. I mean, you talked about that before.
That was what, like, so when I was a kid, like, I remember this is crazy. What got me to ask my boss about it, because I knew he was into fitness and lifting weights, and he was big as Jean-Claude Van Damme, dude. I remember I saw him in some show, and I was like, that dude is ripped. Like, I want to look like that, which eventually I got way bigger than he ever would think about getting. But
yeah,
I remember seeing him, and I always liked Stallone and Schwarzenegger and all the wrestlers, like the Ultimate Warrior, man. I love that guy, and I liked his physique. So like watching all that growing up, then, you had The Rock and Stone Cold around the time I started bodybuilding, and Triple H and all those guys. So that's what got me to start lifting weights. And
Same.
it was like natural. I was like, it just it came really easy to me. And, you know, I think if I'd have pushed myself a little harder and not kind of had other hobbies and I really focused on that, I think I could have probably gotten a pro card, been a professional, but there's too much other stuff that I like to do. So,
dude, I was the same way. Like when I started lifting, I like unnaturally got strong, like just weirdly. Like I can like almost remember starting lifting weights. It was a gym class thing where you had to lift or something and they tested you. And or maybe it was weights. We had like a weights class in high school. And I remember like I think I was the most gained muscle or whatever weight increase in the class.
Yeah.
To the point where like the teacher was like, "Are you like taking creatine?" And at the time I was just like doing that class, you know. And then a friend of mine was a talented football player. He was getting ready for college football. So we were lifting together, and it just became something we would do. Like, dude, we would lift at school, and then after school we would go, and his dad worked at a like a troubled youth institution in our town, and there was a full gym there. We could work out there for free, and that's what we'd hang out there until we had to go home.
Yeah. So, yeah. I loved it, man. I just stay in the gym, and it was a good way to escape my household and get away from all the negativity. And I could just I could go to the gym and I could be in my element for a couple hours, or, you know, back then I trained for a couple hours usually, and just, you know, just push myself and use all that frustration to do something positive. And man, I really, really enjoyed that. And then, you know, man, as I get older, I just started really liking hunting again. You know, I did it so much with my dad when I was young, and then I started lifting weights and it kind of pulled me away from it. But then I got back into it, and there's just not room. You're not the same in the gym if you get up at 5 a.m. to go hunt and you don't eat your meals. And it's like, it's too much of a struggle. It's like, no, man, I'm going to just stick with hunting. And then I got married, and you know what happens when you get married, you get happy and you get a little fatter. So, you know,
I mean, then in college I played golf, and we had to kind of keep in shape for that. Plus, like, golf may not seem like a real physical sport, but like, we couldn't ride carts in college. They wouldn't allow you to ride carts. So, I mean, we had practice every day, and we would, you know, you'd be walking probably 4 miles a day.
Yeah.
Carrying a 50-pound bag on your back, you know, it's like, it kept me in really good shape. And then I was lifting on top of that. And in college, and then the same buddy I was talking about, he was getting ready for the NFL Combine. Then he played for the Colts for a spell.
Oh, cool.
And he was like, so I was kind of like still, you know, doing some of the stuff he was doing. I got in really good shape. Like, I was probably like 175 pounds, but
you're still not in bad shape right now,
man, dude. But compared to what I used to be, like, people tell me that it's hard for me to agree with you. Like,
well, welcome to your 30s, dude, and wait till you get in your 40s.
Yeah.
It gets worse as you get older.
Yeah.
You know, if you let it. I mean, you really got to stay like diligent on it to keep your body, you know, where it is. I mean, I work outside, and like, you know, my wife always asks me, she says, "Hey, you know, don't you want to do something else?" And I'm like, "What? Sit behind a desk, ride around a car, talk to people on the phone?"
Fat.
And then I get fat and my heart clogs up. Is like, at least this, I'm moving constantly. I'm out in the sun, you know, and the heat, and it keeps my body, you know, I think it keeps me in good shape.
Yeah. It's even now, like, I'm still trying to go to doing some exercising and stuff, and man, it's just hard to get motivated anymore.
Yeah. But you know, the thing is once you start doing it, and that's endorphins kick in after a couple of weeks, and it doesn't hurt, and it's kind of starting to become routine. Like last year, I got back into it pretty good for probably about 3 or 4 months, and then deer season came, and I fell back out. But me and Bernie were going like 3 or 4 times a week, and I was like, "Look, I'm not going to do 6 days a week like I used to do. I'm going to do 3 days and just try to tone up and get that." And I mean, it like in 6 weeks, I look like a totally different person than I did.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
I'll probably do it again this year.
When I came in August, we went to the gym. We went to the gym when we were hunting that velvet season, because it was not fit to hunt.
Yeah.
Not at least in the middle of the day.
It was hot.
Yeah.
Real hot.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll get back into it. I got in really good shape in 2017 when I was going elk hunting and stuff again. But I was doing Insanity and all this other stuff.
Yeah, my
We don't have a gym around here.
Yeah, that makes it tough too. That's another thing. I got to drive. Man, it's probably way worse for you, but I got to drive like 15 or 20 minutes to get to my gym, and then it's always packed. And I'm to the point now. It's like this girl, me and Brandy know, she's got a social media account, right? And man, she's in there videotaping her workouts, and she sits on the same machine for an hour. And you got these other kids doing the same thing. I'm like, man, when I started lifting, like these big older guys, like I am now, would come and pick you up and throw you off that machine and grab it.
Yeah.
And say, get out of here, kid. You know, I mean, and now everybody's got a selfie or, I mean, it's like,
Really?
oh, it's another world. It's like, I don't
I
want
haven't been to a gym for a long time.
Oh, it's terrible. I mean, she goes in the middle of the day, and this girl's in there on the Smith machine doing her booty workout and videotaping it, so yeah, for her page, and like, I mean, she stays on it the whole time, and my wife's like, I wanted to get on it, but it's made me so mad I left. You know? Like, well,
yeah,
I got a solution for that. I'll walk up to her and tell her to get her butt off of it or share it. You know, caring is sharing. Or sharing is caring, whatever it is.
Maybe you'll make a video.
I don't know. Mean guy at the gym.
All right. Let's talk about hunting for a second.
All right.
Got you turkey.
Yep. Got me one. Finally got to spend some time in the woods a little bit. I've carried a gun. So I carried one with you that day I went, and that was the first day I'd actually hunted carried a gun, but I was basically just wanting to make sure you got a bird, so I wouldn't even worry about myself. Then the next day I carried a camera, and then I think I went to Missouri the next weekend. I carried a gun the first day, and I was sick, so I slept in the second day, and then the third day I carried a gun. I've only carried a gun maybe 4 or 5 times this year, and so I haven't been able to hunt like I normally do. Normally by now I've got several turkeys, Mississippi and Tennessee, and trying to figure out where else to go. But yeah, finally got one. Me and John went and got on a bird Friday, gobbling his head off, but he was with hens still, which is pretty weird. Well, it's not super weird, but you figured they'd be a little bit more alone in the middle of the day and the afternoon now. And then we had, let me see, worked him for like 3 hours. Nothing, you know, he ended up walking off with that hen. And closest he got was maybe 60 yards, 65 yards, 70, something like that. It's just outside my range. But we watched him for a long time. Would have been great video, but it started raining, so I left the camera in the truck. And we went hunting. Then, of course, it stops raining. And John got film of him on his phone, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So the next day we went back, and we didn't hear any birds gobble at all. Brandon, can you? We didn't hear any birds gobble the next day off the roost. And we were sitting in the car. We were being so lazy, man. We were just tired from the day because we hunted from daylight till we got 4 o'clock, and we hunted from daylight until I guess 3:30 in the afternoon, solid, no break. And we were like, we were like, we gotta get something to drink. Like we were dying.
Yeah.
And so the next day we were just riding around in the car, and we didn't hear anything where we wanted to listen. So we were just kind of riding around, stopping on the road, listening at this farm that we could go to. And about 7:30 probably, he thought he heard a bird gobble. He had his door open, you know, chain smoking cigarettes like he does. And I'm sitting there next to him and like choking, and got my window down like. And well, I'm elaborating, but he was sitting on sideways, so his cigarette, he's
right
in the car, but still I'm smelling it anyway. So we're sitting there, and he says, "A bird is gobbling." I said, "No, that was a woodpecker," because it did sound like it's way off. So I got out of the car and I owl hooted, and sure enough, bird gobbled back at it immediately. And I said, "Hey, you're right, there was a bird gobble." So I said, "I'm gonna do it again." So he got out of the car and walked over to me. So I owl hooted, bird gobbled again. So he went down, parked the truck. We got our gear, and the property line was right here, and the bird was on us, but it was easier to walk the property line to go in. So we were already sitting there. So we walked in, and crazy. The bird never gobbled again after that. And we kind of slipped over in the woods. You know, we were in the woods, but we kind of slipped down the hill a little bit, and there was a ditch. And John says, "Let's just sit by those 2 trees, and you just make a real light call, and let's see what happens." I said, "All right, that's fine." So we sat down, and I got my dad's box call out, and the one that he gave me, and I yelped on it real quiet, and a hen answered. Yelped on it again. Hen answered again, and right after she answered, I heard a bird drum, which is crazy. And he He's probably within 50 yards at that time, 50 or 60 yards, drumming loud. So he came in, drummed the whole way in to like 25 yards, and I couldn't get a shot on him. And John's videoing, but every other word is an F-bomb. And I'm like, John, like,
Yeah.
You're on video, dude. Watch your language. He's all right. I'm sorry. And then he'd say it again. I was like, watch your language. Sorry. He's like, you just bleep it out in editing. I said, I don't know how to do that yet. I've got the program, but that's the part that I haven't had to do yet. So we get pretty good video of the turkey at 25 yards, but I couldn't get a shot on him. He ended up turning and walking away to that other hen, the real hen that was yelping. So we backed up, made a loop, got on the other side of this ridge, and kind of went the direction they were. Same thing, said we're going to sit at these two trees. Before we sat down, I hit my call, the one that I finally found back after it got stolen like 8 or 9 years ago out of my back of my truck, and hit the call, and boom, he gobbled at the bottom of the ridge hard. And we sat down at the trees and made another call, and he gobbled. And then I'd call, and I'd just hear him drum. So it was like his response was telling me where he was, but he was only drumming. And then he'd come over the ridge, and then I could hear him drumming down towards where she popped up, and he popped over and shot him. And what's crazy, man, you know how we were bragging about those guns, which they are freaking awesome. I had a tree probably like that at 10 yards between me and him, and I smoked that tree. I mean, it was laid over in half, like from where I hit it.
Oh, dang.
Still killed the turkey at 50 yards. So that TSS is legit. Like,
oh yeah,
you wouldn't have done that with copper plated lead. There's no doubt in my mind. Copper plated lead would have never, and a 20 gauge would have never killed that turkey at 50 yards.
Yeah.
And that's like my max range. I patterned my gun, and I know 50, even 55, it's killer at 55. But like 50's pretty much pushing my max range. And I mean, I didn't range him. I just knew, yeah, he's close enough. Yeah, he's in there somewhere. And I think John, with his big long legs, stepped off 49 steps. So I'd say 49, 50 yards where it was. So it was a 2-year-old bird, you know, but probably one of the most fun hunts I've had. My hunt was a lot of fun, and this hunt was a lot of fun. I hadn't had good hunts like that. It's always more fun when you have someone with you too.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so much when like putting your heads together and coming up with a plan. That's the thing I like about turkey hunting.
Yeah, me too. Maddie about killed one last night.
Yeah, tell me about that.
So I got a blind set up. Me and Huck set a blind up in this field edge along a river bottom, and I got a little discouraged because the farmer sprayed the field about 6 or 7 days ago now.
Yeah.
But man, there's still some turkeys over there. So I have a trail camera out there, and I got a nice tom on trail camera Friday evening about 5:00. We couldn't hunt Saturday. We were camping and whatnot. But last night the kids went to their grandma and grandpa's, and we got out there at like later than we wanted to, probably 5:30. But we kind of, sat around for a while, and then around 6:00, we were just sitting there just chit chatting and heard a gobble. It was pretty far off. But if you can imagine like a river with about 50 yards of woods along it, and then outside the woods is a field, and then all the way across the fields of the county road, and it's probably 1,000 yards across this field. It's a long walk across the field, but anyway. And then the farmer in the middle of the field left a bunch of corn, like standing corn last year, because he got those vines. I can't remember what they're called, but some vines.
Cockleburs?
No, it's not cockleburs. It's a vine that grows all in the corn.
Okay.
Anyway, it tore up the corn enough where he didn't feel good about harvesting it. So it's in the middle there. So around 6:00, that bird gobbles, and he's out there in the middle of that field. We can never see him. We never could see him, but he gobbled and gobbled and gobbled. And I was going to get your opinion on this. I had a feeding hen, and I had a hen laying on the ground, and then I had a Jake strutter up. Anyway, so we're sitting there. He's gobbling. He never moved. He didn't move. I mean, it was probably for an hour. He just stayed in the same place and gobbled. Then a white or a silver pickup is driving down the road. And this whole time, the silver pickup's is driving real slow. Then he turns around, drives back,
He's watching that gobbler, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, he ends up pulling off the road and watching him. This will come back later in the end of the story. But
okay.
Finally, the bird moves close enough And he goes around that corn that's still standing, and you can see him fanning, and all I can see is his fan. And he's answering calls, um, just kind of going back and forth. And then he keeps moving to our right, kind of going away from us, back to the north, away from it, not away from us, but just paralleling us, not getting closer. And he couldn't see our decoys because the way the field lays out, there's just a little bit of a low area where we were at, which usually the turkeys will use that low area instead of up there on top. But anyway, he was up top.
Yeah, he wanted to be. One reason, I'm not going to try to cut you off, but he was up top to be seen and to see.
Yeah,
that's why he went up high. Is because he was either overlooking some hens, is why he didn't come in. Yeah, or he's been called at and messed with, which is likely too. Or but most likely he was up on top just for the visual thing, and it's hard to break him from that.
Yep. So about this time, we hear another gobble way out to our north, and I kind of look, and that field is a dished up field. It's real nice, like it's been cultipated and everything. There's a gobbler out there in that field, and he's probably, he's a long ways away, or probably over a quarter mile away from us.
Yeah,
and you can just barely hear him gobbling. But I kind of figured out then, I'm like, okay, that he's working his way that way. Whether they had, I couldn't see any hens out there.
Your bird was going to the other gobbler.
He was starting to work his way that way as the evening, kind of dwindled out.
Yeah.
But and legal light here in Indiana right now is 8:40 for turkeys. About 8:30, he finally got into that dished up field going north, and he was out there strutting, and then he kind of turned and he saw our decoys, and he started gobbling at my decoy, and I Jake yelled at him like hard.
Yeah.
And he turned and he started making his way towards my decoys instead of towards that other one, because he was a lot closer to us. This time he was probably 200 yards from us.
Yeah.
And just a minute went by, and then 2 minutes, and he just was moving so slow, Patrick.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And granted, this pickup's still on the road watching all this. And about 8:45, he finally got within shotgun range, but Matty, is after legal light.
Yeah.
And he got tired. The bird never actually came into the decoys, but he ended up flying up behind us there.
Yeah.
And we snuck out of there. And actually, as we were walking out, he gobbled again. So we didn't spook him or anything.
Oh, no. Did he gobble from the tree?
I think so.
Oh man, he's ready to go.
Yeah.
He's ready to die the next day, man. When they gobble at night, that's always makes me excited.
Oh man, and this whole time he's gobbling. We heard 200 gobbles.
Yeah.
But he just never got in a hurry to come anywhere though. And he was a giant bird. His beard was dragging the ground. And
have y'all seen hens? Have your hens started just disappearing in the middle of the day? Have you seen lone hens in the middle of the day and afternoon crossing the roads and stuff?
No, I haven't.
I wonder if what your hens are doing, because our hens are pretty much nesting right now. They're laying. They've already laid, and they're probably sitting.
Yeah.
Down here, y'all's probably aren't that far behind ours. Y'all's are probably sitting. Probably this week they'll probably start sitting. I would imagine.
Yeah.
Because y'all's season just goes boom, boom, boom like that. It's weird the way that ours is so long because we're in the south and the weather. Y'all's, it seems like they really get their stuff done quick.
Yeah. Anyway. The truck drives off. Okay. I'm like, oh, whatever, and we get out, get the decoys. Like I said, we're walking back. He gobbles. Like, okay, he's still in there. Matty had to work this morning, couldn't go or anything. But I'm driving back from. I had to go get something from a different town. We bought off Craig Facebook Marketplace, some car seats or whatever. But I'm at a gas station peeing, and I get a Facebook friend request, and I accept it, and right away I get a message, and it's that guy that was watching us last night.
Yeah,
I guess he had called the landowner to ask if he could go hunting over there, and he's like, no, Josh is hunting there, and he looked me up on Facebook. But he's like, man, I watched you guys all night. I was hoping you'd kill him. And I was like, I was hoping you'd freaking leave is what I wanted to tell him. But,
He's watching the show right now, Josh. Hey, he's a nice guy. He doesn't mean that. If you were watching that turkey, you didn't mess anything up. You could have helped him by maybe doing some stuff in the road and pushing the turkey to him.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't sometimes they just don't care though. If they're far enough off the road.
He didn't seem to, but now granted, it's a long ways across that field,
Yeah. Okay.
So it may have been far enough where he wasn't, and that road's extremely busy. There's a couple kind of big businesses down that road that people
Okay.
are always going back and forth. But
Yeah, they probably watch those turkeys all the time.
yeah, so the turkey never stopped gobbling or nothing. I mean, he didn't care. But in my mind, I'm like, gosh, this guy's gonna screw this up or something. I'm like hoping he didn't, but he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't.
I'm trying to
But
talk Brandy into it, man. I talked to her today, and she's like, "Well, you can go if you want to." I said, "She's like, her brother's birthday is Sunday." I was like, "Well, that's Mother's Day. We'll just come back Saturday, and we'll do it then. We can ride up 6 hours. We can do that and hang out for a couple of days, and then come back home Saturday afternoon. It won't be a big deal. So it's still up in there, but we'll let you know.
Yeah,
it'll be fun, man. And it sounds like you got some turkeys, so
yeah,
I got to try to get John wrangled in. He bought another car. His house is starting to look like a used car lot now. I think he's got 2 of those.
Did you buy another Land Cruiser?
No, he's got 2. You know how many miles that one that looks like it's almost dead has on it right now? It's got like 333,000.
Really?
Which those old Land Cruisers, it's got that 4.7 liter V8 in it.
Dude, I want to buy one. I've told Maddie that 100 times now.
Yeah. I was like, look, man, and let me tell you something. You know that hill that you go up to go behind his barn?
Yeah.
We drove up. He was in front of me with that little truck, and I was in my truck, behind him. And I've got mud tires, and he's got like BFG KO2s or something on it. And man, that little thing scooted right up that. I mean, like, didn't even spin a tire going up that. And it was wet. It had just rained that night, like hard.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, man, that little thing is awesome.
I want one so bad. The Lexus, John actually has a Lexus, right?
His is a Lexus
LX 470. I think it's what it is.
Yeah, he's got 2 of them. He's got a gold one, and then he's got that blue one.
Yeah, and then they make it's the Land Cruiser.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been researching these things. I can tell you all the differences. So I'm not going to bother.
Have you ever watched the overlanding shows that are on YouTube? A lot of those guys use those.
Yep.
And the Lexus, I think they're just like a little nicer on the inside. Have a few.
They are. They have some like some air shocks on them and stuff, where you can actually raise the vehicle up 3 inches and then drop it down when you're on the road and stuff.
I saw that on his. I saw a button that did that, and I was thinking, like, is that air shocks? I never knew that, though, so I'm going to ask him about that next time I talk to him.
Yeah.
That little thing will go. I mean, it'll freaking go. He needs a muffler for it. It
looked like there's a few things missing on it.
There's a few things missing and a lot of crap on the inside of it, but he's always been that. Like, let me tell you something. If a vehicle, if he doesn't blow a vehicle up within the first 50,000 miles,
it's a good one.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I've even considered selling my truck and getting one. Like I love that. I love Land Cruisers.
Yeah.
But anyway, it just doesn't. I mean, I hate to crap on American vehicles, but man, it just seems like they don't last as long as they should anymore.
Well,
they're all rusty or just, I don't know.
You know that truck that Aaron drives, Warburton, from Hunting Public? I mean, I bet you that thing's got 500,000 miles at least on it. And he's got that old V8, that old 4.7. That's a 1,000,000-mile motor. Yeah. And I've always said, man, these guys got to be making enough money to buy a new truck. Maybe now I know why he doesn't buy one. Because it's bulletproof, Yep.
There's a guy in the town next to me that has a Land Cruiser for sale, but I think he wants a little too much for it for the amount of miles that are on it. But I don't know. We'll see.
John's got 2 of those. He just bought a new F-150, and he's got the diesel behind the house that's been sitting there for like 5 years. So.
I would say maybe John will sell me one of his, but I don't know if I want something John had.
I tell you, that gold one has sat since he bought it. He bought it, and it sat, and he's been wearing I think he's got it as a backup for his for the blue one, blue or black or whatever color it is.
All right, we
Let's
better
get
start
into
talking. We've been on here for 40 minutes. I haven't talked about.
Let's get into it. I just want to say too, I see Travis Fott right here. Thank you very much. That means a lot to us. I'm glad we helped you out. See that in the comments over here. If I said your name correctly, I hope I did.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Sorry.
Yeah, Travis is your name, so I'm just gonna call you Travis.
Like I said, I read about as good as the best reader in 6th grade, so it took me a while to read it. But appreciate it, man. Yeah, if you guys in the comments ever have questions for us or want to give us any opinions, obviously let them fly in there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like these things, make sure you hit the subscribe button. One other thing before we start, like this podcast, the Awaken podcast, it's just a supplement. Like we're going to keep doing deer hunting stuff. I think people were concerned about that, but like just to give everybody, like the listeners, a heads up, like Thursday, Johnny Stewart's coming on. Next week, Andy May's coming on. The week after that, Jonathan Moreland's coming on. So there's a lot of good stuff coming up, guys.
Yeah, you can't do deer season all the time. These guys need a break too.
Yeah, right, right. Let's talk about something important instead of just deer hunting.
Yeah.
All right. So Matthew 6 talks about, there's a lot of places in the Bible that actually talks about death to self. And well, I'm not going to read any scripture tonight or anything, because I mean, there's a lot of scriptures about this throughout the Bible. But actually, death to self is like a very popular Christian saying that's never actually said in the Bible. There's a lot of other like wordings that are similar to death to self, but you know, the concept of death to self is something I've been working on, you know, the last few months, and really what it means to me, and I think what, you know, Jesus is preaching to us in the Bible about death to self is essentially, you know, helping. I don't know what the best way of putting it is, but like instead of worrying about you or what you need, it's more forgetting about you, or, you know, the concept of dying to yourself, dying, letting your ego die to where you start making decisions based on what other people need and or what Jesus wants you to do, instead of thinking about what do I need, what's good for me, and that is, you know, mentioned in the Bible over and over again. So I thought we could just kind of chit chat about that for a while, or what we struggle with that, or what we, as deer hunters, I think we are real bad about our egos and our selfishness about, you know, our hunting spots or this or that, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I think we take for granted what God gave us to share with everyone, and we try to hold it for ourselves when it comes to deer hunting, just to kind of, since, you know, that's the basis of your show, but we're talking about Christ and God here. You know, I think that a lot of the times, you know, we get so possessive over these deer and these spots and us making sure we kill the big deer. You know, I think God will show you a little favor if you think about other people, you know, and even if he doesn't, it feels daggum good to help somebody else out and to see them reap the rewards when you've helped them, or given them a tip, or, you know, I know turkey hunting is a big problem, and probably deer hunt too, but, you know, I've always been of the thing, if you go to your gate where you want to hunt, somebody's there, you back out and you go to the next spot and you let them have it. And, you know, I think as hunters, we need to do better with that. There's plenty of land to hunt. There's plenty of places to go. So just, you know, man, if God means, this is the thing is like everything in life has already happened in God's eyes, and we're just living it a lot later, sooner, whatever his timing is. So like, if you're going to kill a big deer, I mean, he's going to give you that. If not, then he's not. And it doesn't matter what you do. It's either going to happen or it's not. But, you know, if you can help other people, then you're doing kind of what Jesus told us to do. And, you know, like you're saying, death to self.
Yeah. And Zeke made a good point. Like he ultimately was talking about your death to your, you know, your body and becoming a Christian or following him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find what exactly Zeke said
He
here.
said it represents the old you dying and being gone for the new you to be born again.
Yep.
And that's good. I mean, I think as hunters, as people in general, we grow up very selfish, looking out for ourselves. And I think we're still going to do that no matter how much we try. But, you know, if you can just make the effort, it feels really, really good to go, okay, I'm going to put myself second and do what I'm supposed to do, you know?
Yeah. I think the hard part is, at least for me, it's been like being that become your default instead of the default being what's good for me in this particular moment, you know? Cause I'm not there yet. Like I think about my dad a lot with that. My dad's like would do anything for anybody, like, you know, buys people's dinners and just, I don't know, anything for his kids and all that. And it's like, you know, maybe he wasn't like that when he was 33, but
I think it's maturity thinking, man. I wasn't like that.
Yeah.
All my life. It was all about me.
Yeah. Or my, you know, my mom too, just, you know, whatever. I could call her right now and need her to go to Tennessee and get something, and she'd probably go do it, you know?
Yeah, I'm on my way.
But, yeah, right.
Could you come pick
Now,
me up so I don't have to drive this weekend?
yeah, it's your
I hate driving.
and I get I guess maybe it's your kids. Like I guess I would do that for Huck or Hayes
Mhm.
if I think about it. But yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about this today too, because when I was pondering about, because we talked about this morning, talking about this, and it's like I was thinking about it as a deer hunter or a hunter in general, and um, at the end of your life, I don't think people are gonna. If you really think about it, people aren't gonna think about how many big bucks you killed or any of that stuff. I mean, I'm talking about as a deer hunter. But like if you would impact someone in a way that helped them to become a better hunter, or instead of you going hunting, you help them kill a deer or a turkey,
Mhm.
that's the things people are going to remember you for, not necessarily like, oh, he's killed 10 Boone and Crockett deer in his life. It's like,
Right.
nah, they probably think you're, a turd because of it, or an idiot.
Oh yeah, well, a lot of your really, really big hunters that kill a lot of stuff are probably not the best people. And
Yeah.
just point blank. I mean, they're nice on the surface, but when it comes to their stuff and their hunting and their spots,
Mm-mm.
probably not. I've met some of them, and they're probably that's why I really admire like what the hunting public does. And I know I bring them up a lot. I just think they're an example of what we all need to be as hunters. Honestly, a lot of people give them flack because they think, oh, they're burning our spots, they're making public land popular. But we want more people hunting public land. I mean, even though it impacts us, the cream rises to the top, as we say. That's what they used to always say in the police academy. So, like, if you're a good hunter, you're going to kill your deer, and if you're not a good hunter, you're going to get better because you're going to learn how to, or you're just going to. And maybe some people just want to enjoy the outdoors. But if you're always nice to people and you're always helpful and you give them advice to try to make them better, then I think that's just a positive thing all the way around. Circle back to Christ. I mean, that's what he told us to do. Not to hold the good news, and the good news about him being aside, that's the most important good news. But, you might have some good news to help somebody out. I mean, tell people, help them out with things, and it'll help your soul, and you'll feel better in the long run too. So, I've never been a selfish hunter. I've had hunters that aggravate me before, that, bother me because of the way they hunt, or maybe they don't have the same ethics or morals I do. But, I'm happy when anybody that's good and deserving has success. And that's what I think we should all be.
Yeah. I think probably where we really screw up as hunters is like our, our ego, or our self making hunting a priority over anything else in life, whether it be
Right.
family or church, or name it. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, there's millions of things in life that are more important than killing a deer or turkey.
Yeah. But
Friendships,
it's special though, because it builds friendships and it builds bonds. And
yeah,
if you can bring Christ in the equation too, then it can really be something special. It gives you a gateway in there. So
yeah, it is special in a manner if you have your ego in check. It
Yeah.
can be very detrimental if you don't.
Yeah.
It can be an addiction in a bad way. Just as putting a needle in your arm with heroin in it could be addiction. Like it can ruin your life.
I've been there with the hunting.
Yeah.
I've been so addicted that, man, my wife can get mad. I'm going, and that's not fair. And just not putting your priorities first, and not putting God first either. Because I did that a lot with hunting. Is made it my God. And I think I spoke about it before, and you can't do that. You got to keep God at the front of everything, and whatever He gives you or allows you to have on this earth is what you're going to have. So,
yeah. Oh, I mean, I know people that the way they treat their wives, like during hunting season, it's just I mean, even as a man and a hunter, like I'm like, man, that's rough.
Yeah.
I mean, just going on trips, not even telling them they're leaving, and leaving them to just the house arrest. I mean, just like, man,
yeah,
I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
And then they complain about them. Then they're the first ones that complain about how they treat them or how they talk to them. It's like, well, maybe there's a reason, man.
Yeah. We're pretty easy, man, to make happy. Just don't nag us, cook for us, and the other stuff. But women are complicated, and there's the Bible tells you exactly how to treat your spouse, and how to put them first. And if that's what changed it for me. was when I started reading the New Testament, and Jesus talked about how to treat your spouse and your wife. And it's like, how do I argue with Jesus? How do I not do that and try to be a good Christian, the best that I can be with my limited ability to be perfect,
Did you watch the video that 3 of 7 put out today by chance?
No, I haven't watched. I saw it just a minute ago before I got on here with you.
Yeah,
And I saw they had a new one. How to Be a Man. Is that it?
yeah. And I think the summary of it is essentially his definition of how he would be a man would be when he dies, if he dies before his wife, how she would tell people she saw Christ in him by the way he treated her.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
by the way he treated, everybody else, or by the way he, all these cool things he did as a Navy SEAL, or the YouTube channel he built, or he's like, he wanted the way that is defined as how you treated your wife.
Right.
I was like, man, that's pretty deep,
Well, and your kids too. I don't have any, but you do.
Well,
your
Chad
kids
doesn't have any kids either. I think kids probably include
yeah,
that.
but the kids are like the biggest mirror of how you are as a human being and as a father, right?
Yeah.
So if your kids are crap, you probably were crap. And sometimes kids are really good, and that's because mama did all right and grandparents, and maybe they just have it in them. But a lot of the times that old saying, "Apple doesn't fall far from the tree," like you really. I mean, it's just good, man. Just trying to do good. I mean, again, don't get stuck on being perfect. Just get stuck on one day at a time, trying to be better than you were the last day. And that's in everything, but as far as your relationship with Christ too.
Yeah, that really hit me hard. Like thinking about, and like Chad even said, I don't know how old he is. He's way older than I am, but he said he's like, I just figured this out like this year. He's like, the reflection of the man I am needs to be how I treated my wife, or if she could see Christ in me by not actions that I do to others, but actions I have of her. And dude, it is crazy how the people you love the most, how critical you are of them, and how much you like the mean things you say to them. Like you wouldn't say that to other people,
Right.
sometimes.
Yeah. I think we're all guilty of that. I've said mean things to people that I love.
Yeah.
And, I don't anymore. I really mean, God, the changes in me in the last couple of years. I mean, I look at it, and my wife and I'll talk about it. They've just been remarkable. And I mean, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, like, it works. Like, Jesus really does work. If you let him. There's things I still got to work on. We all do, but it just when what really clicked for me on the changes that I see in myself is like when I started questioning and honestly going, well, what would God want me to do? Like, what would Jesus tell me to do right now? What is a Christian thing to do with this? And it's just, it could be something little like wanting to be a smart ass on, excuse my language, on Facebook and
sorry for
say something. Yes.
Family friendly.
yeah. Or I think ass is okay. They said it. I think they said it in the Bible. I think there's
okay,
yeah, smart donkey.
Yeah.
So but if you're doing that, it makes me that want to be, for some reason I've got that in me, and then I just go, no, like, is that Christian? Is that the thing that I would want to put out when people look at me and see my tattoos of Christian things on me and hear me talk on the show about Christ, and I have to really just, I've got to be an example, even though I'm not a good one. I can be better than I should be, or try to be.
It's hard, dude. Like I go in spurts too. Like I'll be like a week. I'm like, man, I'm really. It's like the weekend, then you get. I don't know. It's a struggle.
Yeah, it's hard to be good. It's so easy to be.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're not bad guys, so it's like, our definition of bad is maybe like me wanting to get on the, seeing something and having a reaction to it, which I wish.
Internet. Yeah.
Yeah,
but again, like we talked about this last week, I think, or maybe the week before. It's like, it's still the sin, just as anything else is,
Yeah. I listened to, my wife and I went on a drive yesterday, so just to brag on myself for a second, a year ago she'd been like, let's go on a ride somewhere, and I'd have been like, no, I don't want to do that, and let's just stay here. You can do it. But now I'm much more like, yeah, sure, let's go. And I'm happy to do it. So we went on a ride and we went out, drove out this WMA that I liked, like 2 hours away. And we were going to go up to Natchez Trace Parkway and drive down it. But for some reason, my phone wouldn't pick up and there was a Natchez Drive and we went there anyway. I messed it up. So I let her down. But anyway,
It's within your heart that counts, Patrick.
Yeah. But when we were driving out there, we were listening to Tony Evans. And for y'all, if anybody's not familiar, he is a solid pastor. And we were listening to him, and he was talking about what we're talking about today. And he was talking about how Peter, kind of had a choice when Jesus walked up to him and, said, cast your net on the other side. And he cast his net, and he had enough fish to probably buy half the Sea of Galilee, at that time. And, he decided, that he was going to pick up, his stuff and follow Jesus. And so he picked the life of a poor disciple, basically in a ministry that was crazy at the time, following this dude around that claimed to be the Son of God, and he did it because of faith in the miracle that he saw. So, it can change your life if you just do that. But there was some really good stuff that Tony Evans was talking about. I think it was last week's sermon if she didn't play another one, but it was really, really a good sermon.
Yeah. I don't listen to many pastors online. I need to check out some of the ones that you've mentioned on here.
Tony's good, and I like Cliff Connectley too. Cliff Connectley and Tony Evans is just solid, man. Solid.
I've heard a bunch of Cliff just from shorts and stuff. He seems like he's really involved in the internet.
He is, but it's like accidentally. I think his son started doing that, so I think he's been taping this stuff for years. Because he's got tapes going back in the 90s, man. You can see people with like Pearl Jam shirts on and like the weird hairstyles we all used to have in the 90s. And then, the all these older guys will remember like the button-up shirts and the Jabot jeans and the Z Calvaricis and all that stuff and high-waisted jeans and pleated stuff. And, he went to college campuses and he used to speak to these liberal arts kids all the time. And he's had a church for a long time, but his church is modest, he's modest dressing. And that's why I like him. He preaches a lot more. He preaches mainly the New Testament. I mean, he kind of sticks to the New Testament, it seems like, because that's where we're at, what we need to, really pay attention to.
Yeah.
Is, because that's what covenant we're under. But it's pretty cool. He's helped me a lot in my walk. And then just like Tony Evans is solid. I mean, I could listen to that guy all the time too. He's really solid.
Yep. So yeah, death to self. That's something I'm working on hard. And like you said, talking about, I've been trying to think like what would the best version of myself do right now in this moment in time, and if Jesus was standing here with me, would he approve of these thoughts or these decisions I'm making? And it's helped. It's not perfect. You forget that sometimes, but
well, and another thing too that and I don't know what the truth is of this, but it's possible. Tony Evans was talking about that salvation is free, okay, and this would be a good title for something. If we ever do something else on this, but salvation is free. Your reward in heaven is earned. And what he explained that is that if you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you're going to go to heaven, right? But are you going to be a janitor in heaven? Or are you going to be the CEO of a company in heaven? Because
is that how it works?
I don't know. I'd have to do some
never
research.
heard that before.
I mean, he's not saying it is in, how in the Quran or in the Torah, like your good works get you so far in heaven.
Yeah.
But what he was saying is your fruit that you bear on earth will play out into heaven, So, maybe the more people you save, the more. So, I mean, I think we're doing a good thing here, for sure. And, hopefully people are paying attention to it and hopefully it gains traction if God, permits. But I just thought that was interesting. That's something we probably ought to research to see. And I'll ask my pastor buddy, like, hey, dude, I know there's nothing you can do, but your sins have already been paid for if you accept the payment, which is Christ. But like, is the better you do on earth going to affect your, are you going to get a party when you go to heaven? Or are you just going to get hey, here you go.
Right.
Sorry, the breakfast in there is not for you in hotel heaven. That's for the good guests. You get to sit out here with Cheerios. You get the stale Cheerios.
I don't know. I've never heard that before.
I haven't either, and it was interesting. I trust Tony Evans. He's really solid biblically. So, and my friend that watches him or that is a pastor and has been a minister he's a youth minister, been youth minister for like 30 years since he was in his 20s. And, he likes Tony Evans a lot too. And there's some people that he doesn't like that a lot of people like, and he's explained why, that are, these big mega church pastors and stuff. And I don't know that Tony Evans is a mega church pastor. I think, to my knowledge, I think he's just got one campus and it's pretty big, but he's been doing it for a long time. And, not to get on his soapbox and say everybody should listen to him, but, check him out.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're interesting stuff. It's probably better than watching some garbage on YouTube,
Yeah, definitely. Anything to get you thinking about God.
I need to get my pastor on here with us sometime. He's, extremely knowledgeable about the Bible. He's one of those guys that when he talks, he references every. He can be talking about anything. He just he'll reference Bible verses. He's like, like in blah 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 and blah blah in Genesis and in X. He's super.
I want to know how they remember all that stuff, because I've always found that so impressive.
Yeah, I don't know,
especially like the random ones they come up with, and you're like, what?
Yeah,
did you just reference Job?
That's
not, everybody, a lot of them know the New Testament and certain things in the Old, but man, some of that stuff that they come up with is wow.
I'll talk to him about it, see if he'd come on here. We could just ask him some questions, like some deep ones. Like we could ask him some of the stuff about last week and like a pastor's view on it and that kind of thing. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I'll go ahead. JB asked, this made me think of it. He said, what do you recommend a specific version of the Bible for a new person to read and to be able to comprehend? I actually talked about, we talked about this on the first episode, I think, for a little bit about the different types of Bibles. And I talked to my pastor about that because I had elder church this week. So we get a little time with pastor, just standing around before church. And I was like, what Bible do you use? And he uses there's a Lutheran study Bible. I like that one. I would recommend that one. And he's like, and then I got talking to him about people are real passionate about what version of the Bible you read. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, there's some people that he almost quoted word for word what people were commenting in the comments. He's like, people are like, King James is the only version, that is true. And it's the most authentic. And he's like, man, they've all been translated into English by someone. He's like, it's all, none of them are, proven to be any different than the last. He's like, it's
the manuscripts.
Yeah. He even mentioned there's some, and he of course he told me the specific chapters in the Bible that were, he's like, in the King James version, a lot of the chapters were just directly translated from the Catholic Church over to, the King James version. And it wasn't, it's not even they didn't even take it from the Hebrew version. So he's like, it's been some of the chapters in there have been translated, multiple times instead of just the original. So he's like, they've all been that way. So you got to remember that they've all been.
So I don't know, you might know this, but for people that don't, so I think the Old Testament is, and Zeke will probably know, the Old Testament is in Hebrew, I believe, and the New Testament is in Greek. I think it's all Greek manuscripts. So it's all comes from the Greek manuscripts that were, they were written by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I don't know if they wrote it in Greek or if it was translated to Greek, but it's Greek manuscript evidence, I think is what it is, but it's all Greek. I think the Old Testament, Hebrew, New Testament's Greek, and then it's been translated into English. But the basis is it all comes. It's not forged. Like somebody asked that question. I use the Life Application Study Bible. It's in the New Living Translation. I'm looking at it right now, and it's easy to read. It's we speak, and it's got the same stuff probably Josh's does, but Josh likes. He's got a Bible that he bought, and he likes it. It's a King James, but is it translated over to normal talk, like how you and I are talking?
Oh, it's out in my truck. Yeah. Yeah. The notes are a little, they're dumbed down for me. The notes in it. Yeah. It's more of a scientific. The notes are very scientific. Gives you reasons why scientifically this is proven to be true. And gives you some reasons for arguments people typically, have about a certain chapter. And then they gives you the scientific reasons on how you can argue that or why that may be true or false. But I would probably not I don't know. I always grew up reading the NIV, which is kind of similar to the
NLT, I think.
NLT. Yeah, it's a little easier to read than the King James version. So maybe getting a good get a good one like Patrick has, it might be your best bet.
Yeah, mine is. I'll show it. It's all worn out, but this is it. Hold on, I gotta find the camera thing, and let me see. That's pretty good right there. So, Life Application Study Bible. The red letter is for the words of Christ will be in red. Everything else is, just what man wrote as the what he was commanded to write from God, and his stories, and then of course what Paul wrote and everything like that. But yeah, that's a pretty easy Bible if you want to. I didn't study it when I read the New Testament. I just read the New Testament, right? And I feel like I pretty much got everything. I didn't. My wife, she'd read it and she'd have to she'd want to look into it deeper. Me, I'd read it and I'm like, I get it. I understand it.
I'm way smarter than her.
Huh? Yeah,
I'm way smarter than her.
You do the same thing then, huh?
No,
my wife's smart, but she just likes to dig into it. And me, I'm wanting to read as fast as I can, and I just absorb things pretty good usually. So for me, it was really easy to read, and you just read it. Don't worry.
I think that's your best bet. But I mean, if you want a recommendation, maybe the ESV. My pastor said that those are fine.
Is that English Standard? Is that ESV? Yeah. Is that what it stands for?
I think so.
I don't think it matters because it's all. I mean, if you just to put it easy, if we're talking to someone who's Hispanic and we're speaking Spanish, the words and what we're trying to get across is the same. They're just different languages and words. It's the same thing. Like the Bible's translated from Greek, so the New Testament is from Greek, but it's still we're saying the same thing in our language, so it really doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, it's funny you asked that because I specifically asked my pastor that Sunday at church. He was like, he's like, so what is your YouTube channel? Is it like Finding Antlers? I'm like, well, no, not exactly. He's like, I said, well, we're to start our Awaken Bible study on Monday nights, and I said we do a podcast about deer hunting mostly. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but he's real into tactical like shooting stuff.
Your pastor is?
Yeah, I don't think he does much. He doesn't do hunting, but he likes to do a bunch of like tactical tactical shooting events and whatnot.
Oh, that's cool. Have you ever seen that movie? It's like a vampire movie called Priest.
No,
you haven't seen it.
I'm not into scary movies.
You're not. Well, it's not really scary. It's kind of like an action movie. It's got Carl Urban in it. Yeah, I guess so.
I'm kidding.
Anyway, that's just what I was thinking about. Like he's got these guns that are like shaped like a cross, and like his gun, like the barrel has. That's hilarious. Like he's got all these like throwing stars that are like sharp crosses that he to kill the demons with. Like that'd be cool. You can tell him I said that; he'll probably get a kick out of it. But that's what they had in that movie Priest, like these crosses and these like. The guy had like a gun that was shaped like a cross, and you kill these evil vampires. I don't know. It's crazy.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Off the topic. I nerded out there for a minute.
Yeah. I'll talk to him. I got elder all month, so I'll get to talk to him again. I'll see if he wants to come on here and just.
So what do you mean elder all month?
So in the Lutheran Church, you have elders. There's just pastor assistants for the weekend. You just pass out bulletins and collect offering, and like I have to go up and give pastor communion when it's time to go do communion.
So you're not an elder, right?
Yeah.
You're not. You are.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you. That's what I was thinking when you said that. I was thinking, so you're an elder.
Yeah, it's just like we have meetings once a month too about just church stuff. Like if you have to like approve a budget or just keep up on to date on things that need to be done around the church and that kind of thing. We got to there's like maybe 15 guys that are on it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. My grandfather was a reverend of a church.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was. My grandmother was the most. I mean, she knew that Bible inside and out, man.
Really?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's like she died in 1996, and my aunt who lives down in Louisiana, her and my dad didn't never talk, but she started sending me these boxes of things she got when my grandmother died, and it's all these letters my grandmother wrote to me about life from a Christian perspective.
Really?
I need to do that, make a book out of this thing because it's work.
How did you not get them? Or was she just writing them in hopes you would get them later in life?
I think she wrote them for me, and I think there was really like when she passed away, my dad and and her were really at odds with each other.
Oh, okay.
You know how it gets,
Yeah.
siblings. And I think she took boxes and he took some, and she got a lot of boxes with stuff meant for me. And so she sent all those things to me. And I just was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I still haven't gone through all of them. Brandy went through a lot of them, and woo, she started crying. This is your grandmother talking to you.
That's kind of cool, though.
It is. It is. I was reading some stuff. I was like, and some of it was like, it was probably 2 years ago. It came at a real pivotal point in our marriage where we were really struggling, and like some of these things like hit home with both of us. So it's just like she's in heaven, and it's like she's talking to me today about something that's happening today to help me in my life. It's just so weird. It's just crazy how God works.
I was gonna say that's what I was gonna say. It's dude. It's like people don't believe in God, and it's just, I don't know. It's too big of a coincidence for things like that to happen. Like that he's not talking to you.
Yeah, or working in your life if you allow him to. And he's working in your life even if you're not allowing him to. You know, he's doing something, and not everybody is supposed to go to heaven. I mean, that's, I asked my pastor or my friend that's a youth pastor about that, and we were sitting in a deer blind, and it was me, him, and his daughter, and his daughter knows that Bible. Like, I mean, she's been around since she's a baby. So they were really telling me stuff, right? And I don't know if it's necessarily predetermination that they were talking about, but I said, so you're telling me that some people are just going to go to hell, and like that's just there? He said, yeah. Some people are going to go to hell. Some people are going to go to heaven. And God knows before it happens, who is going to who. He doesn't pick them, but he knows. You know what I mean? You still have the chance, but, he knows because he's today, he's tomorrow, he's 20 years from now, he's 20 years ago. So he sees everything all at once, the way that I've been explained to it by pastors and stuff. So I don't know. I just thought it was kind of crazy to hear that.
Think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. That some people are born on earth. So, like, if you're saved and you accept Jesus and you're listening or you're kind of on the fence, that just tells you ain't everybody supposed to go. And be fortunate that you were picked or that you are saved, because not everybody will be.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird to think about.
Yeah.
Explain some of the YouTube comments we get on these shows.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I don't know. Is there what else? Is there anything else you want to talk about on this? I was kind of gonna, if you had anything else to say, I was gonna just kind of scroll through the comments.
Yeah, scroll through the comments. Let's see.
Oh, here's a good one that I just went to the bottom to go up here, but I'm not sure what your username is there, BSK. But as an elder, I hope you feed the younger generation in your church and make it a point to pray for them and know their struggles and break bread together. Yeah. That's something that gets talked about all the time in these meetings we go to, is like getting kids more involved. We are fortunate in our church. We have a lot of youth in our church because we have a lot of people my age that have kids, that are at the church, but it's tough. There's a lot more distractions now than there was whenever I was young and, obviously before, but more sports, more, I don't know, just a lot of things to distract.
Instant access to information and not all of it good.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that goes for adults too, man. We get a lot of information, like, I think, as supercharged as our country is right now with negativity, man, it doesn't take much.
Yeah. Yep.
It's hard to find a good church, nowadays. It's not trying to live for the world and attract people to things that are shiny and stuff, but that really preach the gospel, because not everybody wants to hear the way that God wants us to hear it. They want to hear it sugar coated. I did not, Chris. I am I became a Christian. I believe I was 28 years old, and really didn't start trying to put my work in with reading the Bible and really knowing who Christ was until the last probably year or two.
I'll get to that too. I don't know what he asked, but Chad Gray. I know a Chad Gray from Seymour that I used to work with. I don't know if it's the same Chad Gray or not, but if it is, what's up, man?
If it's not, what's up, man?
What's up, man? What's up, brother? I'm gonna stop doing that. My wife's gonna be like, stop being stupid. She's on here, I think, right now.
Yeah, good.
You guys should check out Seven Mirrors of Reflection by Greg Braden. Is a really telling how your actions reflect back in your life. Cool.
Huh.
I meant to look into that.
Yeah, Chris was I think he was. It was a second to last comment. He asked us if we grew up in church.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did, Chris. I went to. I mean, I've been to church since I was little. I was baptized as a baby in Lutheran church, and then went to grade school at Lutheran church, and then moved away from this town. But I went to college at a Christian church, a Christian college too. But yep, that's what me and Patrick have much different backgrounds,
much different walks, paths to
yeah.
Christ. But at the end, we both came there. It's kind of cool. I think we talked about the first time we did the show is that, it's kind of cool because you get two different, you can have people that grew up like you did and drifted away and then drifted back. And you have people like me where it was never put in their face. You knew about it, but it was never put in your face like it should, you weren't in the church as a child.
Yeah.
And then circumstances through your life cause you to look into it and become saved. So you get I think it's cool. You get two different perspectives on being a Christian.
Yep. Yeah. And my drift was always just like, I went through the motions for a lot of years where I just was, I still go to church every Sunday and all that, but it was just something I had to do kind of thing, not something I wanted to do, wanted to grow in. So that's kind of where I'm at now, is back to, as you get more mature, becoming more part of your life. As a kid, you seem like you see a lot of kids that are really strong in their faith sometimes.
I see a lot now. It seems like there's almost like a revival in our country.
Mm-hmm.
Where kids are really starting to tap into Jesus. And maybe it's because there's not a lot of hope and there's not a lot, I don't, maybe I'm off base here. Maybe it's not as good. You see a lot of kids that aren't, but you're starting to see it like more mainstream, that kids are starting to get into it where you didn't when I was growing up. Like it just wasn't talked about that much.
Yeah, man, I had to have a difficult conversation with Huck the other night. Like he had me bawling.
Oh man.
So my mom's dog died the other day. He's had problems for a long time, but he has an enlarged heart. Anyways, he ended up passing away. So he had death on his mind. And me and Huck went on a bike ride, and we went to the graveyard, and I showed him my grandpa's tombstone and stuff. And like, cause Huck can recognize his name now and stuff, like if it's written,
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, look what it says. It says Talker on it. And, and I showed him all the names because they have the kids' names on the back of it and blah, blah, blah. We spent 10 minutes there or something showing them all. Anyway, that night we just went on. And that night he's like, Daddy, I bet your grandpa really misses you. And I'm like, where is this going? And he just like, he started asking a lot of questions about death and like, when are you going to die? And he was bawling. He's like, I don't want our house to be empty without you. And I was like, oh, buddy.
Oh man.
It was tearing me up, man. He's like, when's grandma going to, grandma's next door. She's 93. Like she's going to die and she's probably the next one,
Yeah.
He loves her to death. And he's just like, when's grandma going to die? And I'm like, well, I mean, she's going to die. But I mean, I couldn't lie to him. I'm like, buddy, she's going to die. We're all going to die. I said, hopefully me and mommy and he's like, I don't want Hayes, his brother. He's like, I don't want Hayes to go to heaven. I want him here with me, And I'm like, yeah, buddy, he's going to be here a long time. Like we were both bawling and I was trying not to. I was trying to keep it together because I wanted him to like feel better about everything. But it made me so emotional. But I think because one he hit me was like, he was like, I bet he was tearing up at this time. He's like, I bet your papa really misses you. And I'm like, oh. But dude, it was the hardest conversation I've ever had.
How did you answer it? Like
I was up front with him. I was like, buddy, that's why, we're all, if you believe in Jesus as your savior, that he came and died for your sins. I was like, we'll all go to heaven one day together. And, that's where grandpa is. And that's where grandma is definitely going to go, and he just, he's 4. So he's like, I don't want him to, I want him to be here with me,
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man.
Well, then I think that's a good answer.
Yeah. I wish I wouldn't have lost my crap,
Yeah. That's the human. But can you imagine trying to answer that as a non-Christian?
Oh yeah,
You just die. You just
yeah,
gone. I mean, that's it. You just turned to oil in the ground. You're in the you're gonna be you're gonna be fossils, and they're gonna dig your bones up and whatever. I mean, you're gonna be whatever. I forget what Cliff calls it, but
yeah,
yeah. I mean, can you imagine trying to like? I don't get people that don't believe in God, and I mean, if you have a hard time believing in God, just look at Jesus and the historical evidence of Jesus and what he did, and kind of maybe you ought to listen to that guy since he did something no other person's done.
yeah,
And like when you want that, like I don't understand people. I mean, I understand people denying it because they really love sin. Because hey, sin can be fun, but it's also bad for your soul. You
yeah,
know, but I just don't understand like not believing in anything other than just this crappy world, man. And it's a great world, but it's also crappy. There's got to be something better than what we have to, what we live here.
yeah. I'm not even going to attempt to explain this,
Yeah.
but because Jordan Peterson has a very good like argument for atheism,
Mm-hmm.
and he feels like he has like an argument that you can like that will crush the atheist mindset.
Oh yeah.
Just look it up because
I
I
watch
he
Cliff. I watch Cliff do it all the time. It's relativism. Hey, is it really bad if I punch you in the face, or did
yeah
I just feel like doing it? And is that okay? What makes it bad? Is it bad? Like if everything's relative, there's no bad, there's no good. It's all just relative. It's
yeah
just I feel like it's okay for me to steal your money because hey, I need it. Who cares what you think, right? Because in my mind, it's okay. I need it. It's like that kind of stuff is what Cliff says, and it's really it turns atheists on their head and they go, because they're living the same, like, I don't care. You can be an atheist and you're still living the same by the same moral code as Christians do. And why are you living that way? Why do you have that? Your conscience is God. It's what
yeah
God gave you. Like he gave you that conscience to tell you what he wants you to do, what's right and wrong. And we do things that are wrong, knowing that they are. But I mean, there's certain things that everybody's like murder is one thing that like I'd say 99.9% of people on this planet will not ever even consider doing to another person. Stealing is probably something that a huge percentage of people won't do. Um, because it's in our mind, abusing children, abusing your wife, spouse. Those are things, and atheists won't do those either. Why won't you do them if it's just all relative and there's nothing, there's nothing to do it? If there's nothing that's gonna no consequence and it's not bad, it's just whatever you want it to be. Hey man, Hitler was a great guy. Mother Teresa was garbage because it's all
yeah
relative, right? Like, no, that's wrong. Hitler was bad because of what he did, and Mother Teresa was good because of her good actions. Like, you know, that's how he always explains it, and it's like it just turns them on their head, and they kind of have no answer.
yeah. I was gonna look it up on YouTube, but I can't find it off the top of my head. I always forget we can like play stuff like this on YouTube
Yeah,
or on here, but
I'll look
uh,
up some stuff from Cliff and send it to you, and then maybe we can play because I love him too, and maybe we
yeah,
can show some of that stuff because I'd like to get if people could follow that guy and really kind of start watching his channels. Ask Cliff if they could really start watching his show. Um, just not his show, just him answer these questions. It's so interesting. And the way he explains it, it's just so articulate and so well thought. And he's not forceful. He's not telling people like, oh, you're going to go to hell. He doesn't tell them that. He just,
yeah,
here's the evidence. If you want to listen to it, fine. If you don't, you can tell me to blow off. It doesn't matter.
right, right. Going back to our comments about like a lot of uh, some young kids are really into God now or their faith. It seems like a lot of influencers are starting to like talk about it more too.
Oh,
Um,
younger kids.
yeah, just people in general. Like Theo Vaughn talks about God a
Oh
lot.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, that oh man, he used to be on the Impulsive, like Logan Paul's
Oh
podcast.
yeah. George Janko.
George Janko.
He's had Cliff on twice.
Yeah, there's a lot of influencers that are very open about their Christianity now. So
They never. I don't remember it being like that. Just maybe
yeah,
before 2020. It seems like a lot of things flipped in 2020. Some things bad, some things good. I
yeah.
think people started searching for. They had time and they got depressed. And they started searching for something. I think some people found God.
Well,
Some
man,
people didn't. You know,
I'm telling you right now, like if you put your worth and your you know, your what you define yourself as and anything other than God, like everything else can be taken away. And a lot
yeah,
of that was taken away back then. Like people couldn't, people couldn't go see their friends. People couldn't do this. They couldn't do that. They couldn't, you know, whatever.
you couldn't see your dying wife, your dying mom, your
Yeah.
dying grandma, your
Yeah.
dying kid. Like you just had to let them die, and you
Yeah.
just okay. Well, I guess we'll have some kind of weird funeral for them, and
Yeah. And maybe we were lucky in the fact that, we had hunting where that never really got taken away during that pandemic. It was like almost more encouraged, right?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, more time off.
man, if I was
Except
into
for me.
freaking going to hockey games and that's all my life depended on, it's like that didn't happen that year, and you could get pretty depressed if like going to a hockey game or a football game was your life.
Yeah, man.
Like dang,
The
where am I?
Undertaker's retirement match was in 2020, dude. And we didn't get to see that live. Undertaker hung the boots up, dude, left them in the ring, walked out.
Right
2020.
there in front of nobody.
WrestleMania happened in front of nobody. I mean, what? Like, and he's a big Christian too. Did you know that?
Yeah, so is Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan just got saved a few months ago. Which is crazy because Mark's a good guy. The Undertaker, real name Mark. He's a good guy. I don't think
Calloway.
Calloway. Yeah, mean Mark Calloway. He's a good guy. He's very well respected, and I think Hulk Hogan was not as good of a guy when he was wrestling. So it's nice to see that they both have found God, and Shawn Michaels too, man. I mean, he's a big Christian and a big hunter, and the Undertaker's gotten into hunting a lot too. So, pretty cool.
Yeah, those guys didn't seem like they could be into anything other than wrestling whenever they're doing that.
Yeah,
that's a rough lifestyle, man.
Yeah, they both are in a lot of pain, hip replacements.
Yeah.
All that stuff. I think the Undertaker talked about it when he was on Joe Rogan, but yeah, man, it's good. God is good, man.
It's a good way to end it, I think.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, everybody. It was fun.
Yeah, we'll do her again next week. This week you get to listen to Johnny Stewart now. On Thursday, he'll be on. So.
That'll be fun.
Yep. Anyway, before you leave, hit the like button. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
I think he's getting there, Zeke.
What's that?
Joe Rogan needs Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's open-minded enough. I think it's working on him.
He does have a lot of people on that are big believers, and a lot of like really respected, smart people.
And people that have converted that weren't.
Yeah.
He had one guy on a few weeks ago that was a conspiracy theorist, and that guy said, man, I tried to disprove Christ. And he said, I'm as sure now, and this is what he said, I'm sure now, is that tower number whatever was not terrorist, did not
yeah, I think I'm
sure now that Jesus Christ is real and that he has made my life better. And I think it's a matter of time before Joe Rogan kind of, I don't know. I pray for him because that guy's really doing the Lord's work in our country right now. I believe it. He's definitely a voice of reason that we need in our country, and I pray that he finds God.
Right. That's the only thing that he kind of is his downfall is the whole. He does seem like now he's not quite as openly like against it.
Yeah.
Or as he used to be. He was pretty hard on like the thought of God or Christianity.
But he's reasonable. So like when he gets some evidence, it's kind of like, he really is very thoughtful. That's one thing I admire about Joe Rogan is he listens and he's really reasonable when it comes to talking to other people about things. And, I don't know if he's an atheist veteran outdoorsman. I think he's said he's agnostic. I think he just kind of doesn't go one way or the other. He might be atheist. You might be right, but I don't think he really chose a side. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would choose something that strong.
Yeah.
His opinions are always evolving. I mean, they've evolved a lot since 2020.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, Chad. That is Chad that I used to work with. So we used to play golf a little bit too.
Cool.
All right. Peace, everybody.
See y'all.
See ya.
God bless.